Welcome to the world of Tales from the Trip.
Before the video starts, I'd like to give a quick shout out to my sponsor for today's video, Hunt a Killer. Hunt a Killer is a murder mystery game that takes you through the whole process of finding who is the killer by getting a set of clues and objects to help you figure out the investigation. All the objects and clues you are given are well thought out by the Hunt a Killer team. If you like watching murder mystery shows, movies, or listening to podcasts, then this game is right for you. I've always wanted to be a detective for a long time, and this game can help fill that fantasy of being one. This game isn't like a normal board game like Monopoly or Life. It is a game that makes your brain work hard to solve the puzzle. You could play with family, friends, or even just by yourself. Most games you need people, but you can figure this one out on your own. There's an episode each month, so that's 6 episodes in total. Each episode is carefully packed inside its own box and arrives on a monthly schedule. You can either purchase the whole season in bulk and receive all your boxes at once, or you can go on a monthly subscription and receive 1 box per month, or even just buy 1 box to test it out. I will leave the discount codes in the description box below in case you are interested in buying, and the link to where you can buy it. Thank you for listening, and let's start the video. +4 is a rating for a psychedelic experience which is profound, life-changing, and one that is very rarely attained, but is often sought after. Some people choose to do drugs to alter their state of mind, others to escape reality, but the historically accepted reason was to always touch a divine level or plane of existence, one where a person sees clearly what the future has in store for them. But the deepest, supreme purpose for this altered state was to gain a better understanding of the universe and our place in the grand scheme. I named this experience 4+ because I don't believe +4 does my experience justice. I went through a period in my life when I felt my soul deteriorating, my very will to live slipping away. This wasn't a matter of depression. Indeed, I haven't had a depressed day in my life, nor does it infer that I wanted my life to end. I felt as if I neither understood myself, nor the world around me in the least. I received a package of salvia in the mail. In it was 1 ounce of salvia leaves, crushed, 1 gram of 5x extract, and 1 gram of 15x extract. I read up on salvia thoroughly, as I always do to prepare me for a new drug, having experienced a plethora of herbal and synthetic inebriants in the past. And when I thought I was well prepared, I took a deep breath and continued with my first experience. It was late, about 11:30, and I just got in from a party. A lame one, no alcohol or drugs, but that wasn't the reason it was lame. I was stone cold sober, with nothing in my system but a couple slices of cheese pizza. I packed my bong, water removed, since I wasn't sure if Salvinorin was water soluble. With a couple of leaves, and with my torch, I lit the bowl and took a huge hit, killed the bowl. I had read that the breakthrough may or may not take multiple hits, but to be ready and be near a bed. So, I held the hit and walked over to my bed before exhaling the smoke. The hit was a little harsh, but nothing for an avid pot smoker. It had a distinct flavor, a little nasty, but not terrible. I lay on my bed with the TV on for a few minutes, but realized the hit was taking way too long to take effect, so I walked back into the kitchen to prepare another bowl. Okay, time for hit, the second. This time I packed the bowl with a leaf of salvia and maybe 5 milligrams, 10 or so little flakes of the 15x extract. I killed the bowl again with 1 huge toke. At this point I thought I was convinced this legal high thing was pure bunk. This time, it was a little more harsh, and I had to exhale before leaving the kitchen. I immediately started walking toward the bedroom. That is all I remember, until I came partially to. I awoke in my closet, hysterically tossing clothing and other junk all over the place, but I didn't know it was clothing. I was immersed in a world in which I was a character in a show, not a sitcom or anything, but the Me Show. My whole life had been staged, almost like the Truman Show, and I had finally awoken from this fantasy world and realized that this was so. I was on a stage and I heard applause from everywhere. People all around me were so happy that I finally figured it out. At this point, I saw a clown, a person that was there to guide me, show me the real world, and try to calm me down. I also heard a song playing over and over again, almost like a broken record. It was the repetitive song that clued me into this fake world, and when the clown sighed and realized that I knew what was going on, he showed me into this door, the door to the real world, and I walked onto a set, a children's show, which explained the clown, and I walked down a series of steps, in reality, video cassettes that I knocked over at some point, until I came to and was back in reality within seconds. I went from being 100% in the strange world created by my mind under the influence, to the real world in less than 10 seconds or so. I must add that a result of this Salvia trip, although I don't think trip applies, I ended up with multiple injuries including cuts, scrapes, black and blues, and a minor concussion, I assume after seeing the horrible state of my apartment that I was quite irate about something. I also remembered next to nothing within minutes, the entire experience lost. When I checked the clock as I came back to the real world, more than 3 hours passed. I realized I took way too much as a result of my skepticism after my first toke. I decided to repeat the experience a second time, but this time with a trip sitter. I was in a familiar setting with a good friend, one who I trusted with my life, and after explaining my previous experience, he decided not to try the substance, but agreed to sit for me. This time I used the 5x extract with some dried leaves, a half a leaf and 5 milligrams of the 5x extract. I took a toke, and as the first time, I was engulfed in the experience the same way. And while I failed to remember the first experience just after it occurred, I now remember all of it, although I lost touch with reality within moments. Here's what happened. Moments after the toke, about 15 seconds, while telling my friend what was going on, at that point nothing, I felt a tingling in the back of my head. It reminded me of my previous experience somehow, and I became terrified immediately. Being experienced with psychedelics, I knew I had to calm myself and be reminded that whatever happens, it will be temporary and worthwhile. But before I could calm myself, I saw the fabric of reality unzip before my very eyes. Keep in mind that while others have since described this unzipping of reality, I used this term before I had ever read it. As I saw this zipper unzip the fabric of reality, the new reality looked identical in every aspect. I could only muster a few words to warn and prepare my trip sitter for what was to come. Oh no, it's happening again. I stood up violently and ran down to the basement where there was less to break and less space to run around in. All the while, everything I saw and touched worked itself into my hallucination. If that's what it was, stay tuned for my own analysis. My friend replaced the clown in my previous trip, trying to calm me down and integrate me into this new world. In this experience, again, the world wasn't real. It was a stage, and my friend was just a player, actor, who when he realized that I finally figured it all out, was supposed to guide me and wait for whoever to come and get me. It took about 5 minutes for me to come back to reality, fully. But my friend made me sit there and tell him of my memories of that experience. I remembered much more this time. I remembered the fabric unzipping and being pulled around me, running downstairs, and finally how he consoled me and snapped me out of it. But then he brought me back upstairs to the mess of a house I left his with. I was delirious for about 15 minutes, and in an irate way ranted and raved, banged on walls, almost broke a window, and at one point pulled out a large kitchen knife and held it to my wrist, threatening to commit suicide. While this is getting long, this had a profound experience on my life, and I hope you have gotten this far. If so, here comes the moral of the story. My immediate understanding of the experience, the personally important part, is that my delusion was one of my life not being real, but one constructed around me, like the Truman Show. Since then, I have developed the ability to read people, understand their states of mind, and overall, am able to empathize and help people deal with their problems. This goes much deeper and farther. I also think I have an understanding of this drug's mode of action. I believe Salvia awakens the normally dormant sleep centers of the brain, mostly the subconscious, while the conscious parts are also active: hearing, sight, taste, touch, and smell. The two seem to merge and the brain tries to make sense of it all. And just as dreams seem real while I'm dreaming, this combination experience, dream and wake, is made to seem real. I am actually integrating a dream with waking interactions. Thus, if I walk into a wall, even if a wall isn't present in my dream, it spontaneously exists since I bumped into one. And as I increase the dosage of the active principles, Salvinorin A and B, the more my dream seems to take hold. I remember grabbing a banister for stairs while under the influence, and it completely broke off the wall. In reality, I grabbed a doorknob and missed. But since in my dream I grabbed it, and in reality missed, the banister seemed to break off, which added to the illusion of reality being fake, making it seem like a set. The banister seemed to break off, which added to the illusion of reality being fake, making it seem like a set. Words don't even come close to portraying the profound impact of these experiences, but I do believe that in a dark, silent room, I would have a normal Salvia experience, which, in my opinion, is just an impromptu dream. I am finished with my story, but it doesn't even come close to describing how profound an experience the trips were. Suffice to say that both were over and above +4 experiences. I am much too afraid to try it a third time, but maybe someday I'll muster the courage. Okay, that's it. My most profound experience to date. Almost. I believe that it is this expansion that allows dormant parts of the brain to be accessed, and allows impulses to travel to nearby parts of the brain, allowing for cross connections to expand our mind. I know that with all experiences I've had, I can't say anything more than, oh, that was fun, eye-opening, intense, or interesting, except this one. Now, I am not one who believes in the paranormal, yet since my experience I am able to read people better, see what's in their mind, almost read their thoughts, and as a result, I am able to say exactly what they need to hear to feel better. I am not a mind reader, I am able to empathize completely. I am able to instantly put myself into their shoes and feel the emotions they feel by living their experiences for an instant. Just like people are deficient in clotting factors or stomach acid, some people's minds are deficient in or handle incorrectly certain neurochemicals. Over time, changes in perception, understanding, or thought process may become affected. I know my use of psychedelics and the like enabled me to change my perception for a short while, and it is these changes that make me grow as a person. I do not use one chemical too often, perhaps 1 to 3 times each, except good old MJ. Just enough to make sure I have one meaningful experience, one from which I can say I gained a greater understanding of my own mind.